It was the autumn of 1888 in London. The air was damp, the nights long and thick with fog. The city bustled by day, but when darkness fell, something else walked the streets of Whitechapel. Something cold, something methodical, something murderous. At first, it seemed like the brutal violence that often plagued the East End, but, as the days passed, and more women were found butchered with surgical precision, it became terrifyingly clear. This wasn't random crime, this was something else entirely. A predator was loose, and he had a taste for fear. It began quietly, just another woman found dead in a dimly lit alley. The first known victim was Mary Ann Nichols, discovered on August 31st. Her throat had been slit, her abdomen mutilated, her body left in the shadows like trash. The Ripper vanished as mysteriously as he appeared, leaving behind only fear, blood, and endless questions. Panic spread like fire, the people of Whitechapel already struggling with poverty, hunger. There are even those who believe the killer was connected to the royal family, protected by the crown, shielded by power. There were no DNA tests, no surveillance cameras, no reliable fingerprints. Just panic, speculation, and failure. And so, Jack the Ripper slipped into legend. But no theory has ever been proven, no name has ever stuck, and filth now had to live with a new terror, a faceless killer who seemed to strike at will. The media coined a name after a disturbing letter arrived at a London news agency. A reminder that sometimes, evil wears no face. That a city can be haunted not by ghosts, but by questions. Who was he? Why did he kill? Why did he stop? Remember, some monsters don't disappear, they just wait in the fog. It was written in red ink, mocking the police, and signed with two words that would never be forgotten: Jack the Ripper. But the fear he created, the myth he became, still lingers. Jack the Ripper isn't just a historical figure, he's a mystery that refuses to die. A few days later, Annie Chapman met the same fate. Two women were murdered within the span of an hour: Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. It was as if the Ripper was sending a message. Not even the police were safe from his games. Unlike the others, she was murdered indoors in her small, squalid room. What the police found was beyond comprehension. Her body was almost completely destroyed. Her face, unrecognizable, organs removed. It wasn't just a murder, it was a statement. Her murder was even more gruesome. Her womb had been removed. By now, the newspapers had picked up the story. On the night of September 30th, something unprecedented happened. The public was horrified. Rumors ran wild. Was the killer a surgeon, a butcher, a member of the royal family, a foreigner? No one knew. And then came the fifth and final canonical victim, Mary Jane Kelly. Despite the massive investigation that followed, interviews, surveillance, suspects, the killer was never found. Over the years, more than 100 suspects have been proposed. Some say it was a deranged Polish immigrant. Others point to a well-known British painter. Forensic science didn't exist the way it does today. He's become a symbol of the unknown, a shadow in the mist. Over 130 years later, we're no closer to the truth. So the next time you find yourself walking down a quiet street at night,